This is American Heretic. Funded by you, please put a couple dollars into the PayPal. Vaccination is a eugenics project. That is, it is meant to improve the health of the species before sickness arrives. We're supposed to be taking blood and pus from cows, cows, and other animals, and stabbing it into ourselves. A man named Edward Jenner did this. He took pus and blood from animals and stabbed it into people. There was hue and cry during his period. He was called a fraud and a blood poisoner, much as we call Andy Wakefield a fraud for not believing in vaccination, but let's think about that for a moment. There were other, George Bernard Shaw, called it fraud, called it blood poisoning. There were many good minds at the time saying this isn't working. There were people in towns in America and England who said we're not going to do the blood pus stab that seems to increase the rates of illness and fever illness and in fact amputations, and in fact the same illness that you say you're protecting us from we seem to be getting more of and worse. They did something called sanitation. They quarantined the sick. They gave them clean fresh water. They gave them clean fresh sheets. They separated the effluents, the stuff that comes out of us and out of the houses, from the influx, the clean water that comes into houses, and they found that they were able to grind their smallpox rates down to almost nil, if not nil. That's zero. Very, very, very close. While everybody who was doing vaccination had huge outbreaks. It was noted in standard medical journals at the time that the smallpox and even the Pasteur-driven rabies vaccine campaigns were huge failures in many ways. Nevertheless, it stuck. It became more, rarefied, codified. They began to machine it better, to disguise it more. So they would take little elements from the pus and blood and then mix that with water, alcohol, put some metals into it, and then inject people with that. We seem to be having a problem with that now. The eugenics movement has always been problematic. It always reflected a desire to have people be in perfect health as a society, not really as individuals, but as a group. And that kind of groupthink, we never really do well when we do that kind of groupthink. You can go back to the old Hebraic, Judaic 613 prescriptions against not doing anything that doesn't revolve around tribal identity. And you can see a lot of problems there in terms of applying it to an entire world of people. There are always tribal ideas that don't work when you make them international. And a lot of what we're doing in medicine seems to be that. But there's something dark underneath, isn't there? I want to talk about how you can kill a family just by hurting one child. Now, we live in a society in which eugenics is, prohibited. We're a society that says that it doesn't believe really in abortion. We certainly don't believe in infanticide. But we seem to be killing a lot of children anyway. Don't we? We seem to be killing a lot of children slowly. And this is the trick. The medical establishment has learned to practice very dark eugenics, the kind that came up in the 19-teens, 20s, 30s, came through Cold Spring Harbor Institute in the United States in New York, jumped the pond to, Germany, who found it a very valuable tool to getting rid of people scientifically, ethically, that they didn't like by sterilizing them. We sterilized hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, probably millions, but certainly hundreds of thousands of people worldwide from the period of the teens all the way up to about, the late 80s. I think we were still doing medical sterilizations under eugenic purposes. Some people are really outraged by this. All societies have eugenic strains, and all tribal societies, children who are not going to make it are not fed, and they don't become part of the tribe. When you reach a certain point of infirmity, you may be cared for if you offer extraordinary gifts to the tribe, but if you can't, you're allowed to wither and go away. We are not an entirely lovable species at all times. We have many dark components that just have to do with survival in a world of limited resources. But right now, we don't really have limited resources in terms of food. We may be running lower on oil. So why are we killing all of the children in America slowly? Oh, but we're not. We're vaccinating them, just like we did in, England when the smallpox rates went up after vaccination, which were protested. We're not killing children, are we? Well, no, we're just wounding them. And that is how you kill a family these days. Because we're all isolated in our little two-person life pods, we're not allowed to reach to each other, or we're considered some sort of, aberrant communist sinner or something like that, trying to re-tribalize America, be hippies and rely on each other a little bit to know where our food and water come from, which is, of course, un-American, because our food and water come from Monsanto and Nestle. Don't we know that? God, how could we be so stupid as to mistrust the giant corporations that control all of the resources? No, 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 no. We're not permitted to get out of the two-person lifeboat and put ourselves into a local community in which we're actually bonded together, know where our food and water come from, and interact with each other on a more meaningful level than asking if we've seen the last episode of The Walking Dead. Is there a metaphor somewhere in there? And so we kill children now. But we're not allowed to kill them because that's, of course, eugenic, or really just cold-hearted and tribal and, well, it's anti-life and we have to be pro-life, so, you're not allowed to kill children. So you can just wound them enough so that the mother knows that she's going crazy. The mother who is attached to the well-being of the child feels that she's part of having wounded her child. She brought him to the doctor. She carried him out because he had fainted, or she had fainted, or she was no longer feeling okay. She drove her child home, and the child began to not seem to be the same child. And the mother slowly goes crazy, going, am I crazy? There's something wrong here. And slowly she turns on this terrible, terrible devil machine called the internet, and she sees thousands and thousands and thousands of pages, medical articles, other mothers in the same boat. This happened because of vaccination, and her whole world begins to crack and crumble. I believed in this. I believed in this. I believed in this. I believed in this. And then she did it. It's her fault. She did it. She knows she did it, and her heart begins to crack and be filled with blackness and fear that she broke her child before her child had a right to even be a person. And she wants to say something, and she screws up the courage to say something, and she timidly posts on some website, and here come the psychopaths. There's Orrock or whatever, and Tara Smith, and all the people from the Scientist blog, the scientists who are so bored. We're so bored with you, you stupid mothers. We're so bored with you. We know your child passed out, but that was just a normal side effect, and you're fine. And autism is just occurring for mysterious reasons that have to do with your genetic failures. Don't you know that, you stupid anti-science? And then it comes out, you stupid anti-science bitches. And these women sit at home going, oh my God, these people are attacking me, and I'm terrified. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I might be wrong. I'm just, I'm just a housewife. I'm just a mother. I just have a degree in English. I just have a degree in business. I just have a degree in something, but they're the scientists, so I'm going to keep reading. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to try every diet in the world. I'm going to try every single fucking diet in the world. I'm going to try everything in the world to try to help my child. My God, it seems to be the vaccine. Some of them aren't convinced, and they take them for the second vaccine, and that's when their child completely falls back and never speaks a word again from the place that they once were developing. And then they go, holy motherfucking shit, it was the vaccines. And then they go and they read, and they go, oh my God, there was an anti-vaccine movement in the 1800s. There were people calling it blood poisoning in the 1800s. My God, the smallpox rate went up in towns where they were 100% vaccinated against smallpox. God, they used blood and pus in this fucking shit. Fuck you. Calling me an anti-science bitch. Fuck you. And then they get mad, and then they get political, and they come out and they want it to be different. They want it to change, but meanwhile, their husbands don't quite know what to do. My God, am I married to an anti-science crazy person? What do I do? And the women go, please, honey, please don't turn away right now. Please don't turn away right now, please. And the dads are going to work, and the mother cannot work anymore because the child is regressed. The child is regressed, and all the mother can do is stay home and take care of the child. And the father goes to work, and he's working. He's going, I don't know. And maybe he's one of the good ones who believes a little bit and has that thing, that mystery human component. That mystery human component that you cannot put in with a pill. It's called compassion. And she goes, oh, I'm going to read this stuff. And I have friends, like my friend Eric Leone, who dutifully reads this stuff. My friend Scott Taylor, who dutifully reads this stuff. And they know. And they read, and they go, holy fucking shit, it was the vaccines. And now they're in this two-person lifeboat, and they're trying desperately to help a child who is wounded. And they know that the mother, who is the most attached to the child, is dying somewhere in her heart on the inside because she can't do anything about it. You can't. My friend April, one of my best friends in the world, April, used to run TrutherTalk, has a very vaccine-damaged child, and she needs your help now. She needs your help now to fund some new interventions because her child is getting older and bigger. And we have read the news reports about what happens when these kids get older and bigger, and there is nobody to help because nobody believes, and you're fighting the school, and you're fighting the fucking religious school. You're fighting, like my friend Alicia, she's fighting the religious school. These, God damn it. And if you don't think that if Jewish people are going to understand what eugenics is, then who the fuck is going to understand what eugenics is? And everybody is fighting these battles quietly. And they're all dying. Their hearts are being blackened by this plague that was brought on by a eugenic medical infrastructure that totally misunderstands what it's doing, doesn't understand biology, won't read actual data and health, won't ask the most important question in the world, what is in a vaccine and what do the individual ingredients do to the human body? It's not bloody rocket science. It's simple metabolic biology. You fuckers. It's simple metabolic biology. And science blogs, Orac, oh, you're an anti-science bitch, fuck you anti-science bitches. Oh, Brian Deere, fuck you. You're not allowed to say that giving people 17 vaccines at once might cause problems. Fuck off. And there are very, very few of us who, weirdo outsiders, here, who I don't believe we're an incredibly monogamous species. I think we're a tribal species. I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory because it was invented by a priest. Guys like me very much on the outside. Then there's Jeffrey Jackson, hard-headed, tough-minded reporter, the last of his breed. Celia Farber, hard-headed, tough-minded reporter, last of her breed. Bleeding heart, cares about everything. You've got John Rappaport, who sees through the lies. You've got Mike Adams, who sees through the lies. None of us are perfect. None of us are funded. Who the fuck is out there saying they're not anti-science bitches, you're murdering the mothers of America by killing their children slowly? Who's saying it? What's going to happen when we run into a low-energy society where we don't have the resources to continue to run trucks all over the land, diesel trucks? Oh, and if you don't think that's a problem, look up peak oil. Go ahead, look at peak oil, peak coal. See what's happening in the oil market. See what's happening in the coal market in China. See what's happening. It's a decline. See what happens when you can't go to the store to buy all of the shit that we buy, and we actually have to live more locally. We actually have to live locally, like my friend Jenny is trying to do by building some gardens with her kids who are damaged by goddamn fucking vaccines. I want to suggest to the anti-vaccine movement and to the pro-vaccine movement that we're not going to survive in little nucleated pods. The eugenics movement has more or less been successful in killing a lot of people slowly. It's dragging the mothers of America who understand this down into a very black hole from which there is no escape alone. We're not going to be able to get out of it alone. We're going to have to, you vaccine moms are going to have to get together and abandon the single-family home. I absolutely mean that. You're going to have to live with other people so that there's not just one mom watching one broken child at a time. There are several moms watching several of the kids, trying to do their best, knowing they may never come out of it entirely. Still, not abandoning them, not throwing them to the wolves, and not allowing them to be taken down the black hole, and not allowing your other children to be taken down because you have no time to do anything but care for the broken ones. We're not going to get out of this mess alone, and if we're not thinking seriously about developing communities around our infirmities and our weaknesses, then we're not thinking seriously at all. We're in a really, 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 really bad spot. And if we don't join together a little bit, we're not going to make it. My name's liamscheff. My book is Official Stories. You can support any of the people I've mentioned by finding them. Ginger Taylor's work, April Bowden's work, TrutherTalk. Sorry if I'm leaving anybody out, but every other person I've mentioned. Everybody. You can support their work, you can support mine, whatever. Buy a book, throw a couple dollars into the PayPal, but find some people to start to co-house with, share kitchens, know where your food and water come from, and get serious about surviving this impending disaster. See you next time.